yeah, my parents never really held me to any kind of a ridiculous standard. You know what I mean? Just the normal, treat people with respect, you know.
Oh, I had a lot of that.
Stand up for, my dad gave me a lot of stand up for yourself, you know, and I needed it. But yeah, they never held me to like these ridiculous, impossible standards. But I have cousins who like, not all my cousins, but a couple cousins who kind of were, and they're like doing really well with life now. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I get along with them great. Like I'm still, I mean, they're family, and they don't look at me any different because they know that I work my ass off. I'm just doing it differently than them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like you're getting there, but like you're taking
I'm just doing
path.
my own thing, and I mean, I'm happy. You know what I mean? I think that's all that matters in life, right? And I think they can sense that I'm happy.
That's absolutely the most important part.
Yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, there's more I want to do. Okay. Yeah, don't get me wrong, there's definitely more I want to do and more I want to accomplish, but, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And I realize like the biggest goal that someone should have for a successful adult life is learn to grow up without growing old.
Very much, yeah. A lot of people just like kind of give up on having fun. Like it does seem exhausting at first.
Yeah, but that's the secret to being happy as an adult.
In my opinion, anytime I've started a new job, especially the one I'm doing now, which is totally different than anything I've done before. I'm doing a lot of like today. I actually drove 3 hours to and 3 hours from one stop. I had a 7-hour day, 7.5-hour day.
Nice.
So, yeah, in 3 hours, just straight highway. You know what I mean? That'll get to you. You know, when you're not used to it. And I think that could be said for almost any job, that just a change in what you're doing can be really fatiguing, even if it's just mental. So you come home and you're drained every day for the first really couple of months for me, you know, every time I start a new job, but I still force myself to like at least go do a thing here and there. I'm also a pretty big extrovert, but what I've found over time now, I'm like I said, I drove about I was, you know, driving about 7 hours today, 6 hours today. And I feel fine now. I got off work and I'm just like, okay, what time is it? 7:30 right now? Yeah, it's about 8 close to 8. You know, my point still stands though. It's like I feel fine. It doesn't. So I think a lot of people get caught in the routine of being fatigued and coming home and crashing and doing nothing.
Yes.
And then they get caught in that cycle and that routine and just continue to not do anything. And I think that's just like, that's no way to live, just sitting in front of your TV all day. And so many people do. Just a completely sedentary lifestyle, I believe is what it's called.
Like they come home, turn on the TV, eat, and sit there.
And just sit there until they go to bed.
Yeah.
And then everyone has all these aches and pains and stuff like that.
Oh,
it's
dude,
like,
I caught myself doing that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I did it most of my life up until, you know.
Yeah, now, like I have come home and, like, I force myself. Like,
yeah.
Because I would come home and Ruby brings it to my attention. Like, I'm not the best dad in the world during the week.
Yeah.
Because I come home and, like, I will sit there, like you said, and I will eat dinner and I'll stare at that fucking TV. The kids are right upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're that age. They want to be playing video games by themselves. That's probably what they'd rather be doing.
Like, I mean, like, I get it, but, like, I should at least go make an effort.
Yeah, I mean.
But and lately, like, we talked about it recently, and, like, I've been making such a fucking effort. Like, even if it's just go upstairs and it's like, hey, man, you want to play Spider-Man for a little bit?
Yeah.
Just play Xbox, play PlayStation.
Yeah, for sure.
Go in the room. Hey, can you show me this drone? Or
yeah, that's actually really important.
Yeah, show me your, like, Gavin likes to make clay stuff. Like, I'm making a conscious effort to take more of an interest. And you know me, man. Like, I'm fucking nuts when it comes to anything.
Yeah.
Like, anything I do, I throw myself into it 100%.
Right.
Like, because I'm one of those people, how I do anything is how I do everything.
Right.
And, like, I have, like, dreams of, you know, doing, like, record label stuff, and I want to do merchandising from it and make T-shirts and have this business. And I'm like, but then I get wrapped up in that, and I forget that, like, I talk about all these grand things, and I don't realize that I do it disproportionately more than I do talk about, like, doing things with my kids.
Yeah.
And, like, now that that's like the center of my attention, and I can happily say that when I say that I how I do anything is how I do everything, like I think about how I can involve the kids in things they like doing with things that I want to do, because I want to be like that kind of dad that I had, where he never told me no to any crazy fucking idea I've ever
Really?
had. No,
Really?
man. Like I told him that I wanted to play guitar, and he went to a pawn shop and bought me a Gibson Epiphone guitar.
Yeah.
And like I still have it to this day.
Yeah.
And then I stuck with it, and like he saw me sticking with it, and for my following birthday, he went and got me a $1,200 Stratocaster.
Damn. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Like when I said, like, whenever I got a passion, he fucking pushed me towards it.
Yeah.
And like, no, I would come home with a fucking drum set, or, hey man, I saw someone selling a piano, or
Yeah.
like they're just like trying to get rid of it for free. He'd be the one to drive me there in his fucking truck and help me load it up.
That's what's up. Yeah, my mom was always, she would have done that if she could have, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just financially, just, wasn't happening.
Oh, that thing was on payments. I wasn't like a...
Yeah, I mean, just even the payments. Like, my mom, it was really fucking bad for a long time. But she always did what she could, and what she could do is what counted. Things like, we got a hand-me-down drum set from some dudes down the street, like, and, I worked a whole summer for my first guitar, which, I didn't play much until like 3 years after I got it, like most people do, I think. And then I just started like investing, cutting lawns and shit and doing extra chores around the house for some extra money here and there, and started saving up for other guitars. One year she did get me a Warlock, a BC Rich Warlock, one of those bronze series.
Those things.
Yeah, she got me one of those for Christmas. That's like to this day. I ended up trading it later, which she was upset about. But I mean, like, still to this day, that gift is like the best gift ever, because I was like all into death metal at the time, and I had no idea what I was talking about, and I thought BC Riches were like the ultimate guitar and shit.
Well, I think they had,
but I fucking loved that, dude.
Most of them had a locking bridge, I think.
The one I got didn't. It was one of the low end ones. It was the bronze series. But it was, dude, that's when I really started playing guitar a lot and like learning riffs. And that's what really sparked. I always, even before then, wanted to like do music and be in a band, like literally all my life. I mean, my fucking, like, when I can barely walk and talk, I'm like lip syncing and fucking telling my mom that I'm going to like grow up and like I don't know what words I used, but I was going to do music.
Do you remember?
Like, I always believed that.
Do you remember your exact, like, your enlightening moment where you realized that's what you wanted?
Not vaguely. I mean, I was so young, but my mom tells me about it all the time.
Really?
And that's why they're, my parents are just kind of like, yeah, I guess this does make sense, huh? It's like now that I'm 26, going on 27, they're just like, yeah, he knew what he wanted to be young, and I'm always really appreciative. Because a lot of people go through their life not figuring out what they want to do, but I just kind of always knew what I wanted to do. So
I just want to create.
Yeah,
I want to create whatever the fuck I want to create.
Same here, and I think my what is it, like, optimum projection, I guess is the best way to say it, is through music. Like, to create, my best tool for creating would be through the tool of music. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be my canvas for my art piece, for my contribution to, creation. Whoa, that was a weird sentence. That was like a fake deep as fuck sentence, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's and I love it too. I mean, music's just, I've seen cool absurdist paintings and stuff like that. That shit's pretty dope, but it doesn't strike me the way music does. Nothing really does.
I can remember the moment I realized that I wanted to be a musician.
Yeah.
I remember it. And it was I was about 10 years old. Like I said, my dad's always been into music. Like his house is covered in fucking speakers.
Yeah.
Like this receiver and those speakers in this house were his.
Damn.
Yeah, and they still function really well, which tells you like what kind of, how seriously he takes his sound.
Right, yeah.
He's never played an instrument in his life.
Yeah.
But like that man, he had the CD collection when that was a thing. Like he has, like, to this day, my dad is going to be 63 years old this year.
Yeah.
And has like a Bluetooth receiver and like just outside speakers, inside speakers. He has his old JBLs.
Yeah, see,
Bose.
Yeah. My mom's got like a Bose like little travel thing. She uses it a lot in the summer too, because my mom has a couple big parties out at her house every year. You and Ruby should come up to one, by the way.
Oh hell yeah, I absolutely would.
They're always a good time. We're usually just the old folk are up by the fire playing guitars, and we're down either by the other fire playing guitars or we're in the basement shooting pool.
Oh hell yeah,
just hanging out. It's always a good time.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and there's always food out all night. So. It's really cool.
I dig that.
Yeah, they're real chill get-togethers. Anyhow,
what was I saying? Oh, with
I was just gonna say real quick. She has like one of those Bose things for outside too, and like my mom all my life has been blasting music. Like when we lived at my grandma's, my grandma has like a pretty small house. And we were just kind of like back in this, like me, my brother, and Blake, and my sister were back there. My mom was like I don't even remember how, it was like a spare bedroom, but I don't remember whose bed that was when they were all growing up. Because, it's the same house my mom grew up in. But, small house, and there's like this old ass radio in there that you could set a timer to wake people up. And they just have it full blast Froggy 104.
Ugh.
And I'd wake up every morning like 5 minutes, and I knew it'd be 5 minutes before that shit gets off. Around 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh God. And then just out of nowhere, fucking Shania Twain blasting.
Shit.
But that's how the day starts. Someone would come out and turn it down, but there'd be fucking music playing the whole time, And that's when the whole house would get up, and like I'd come home. There's always music. One of my uncles is an incredible fucking guitarist and singer. Like really, really astoundingly good. And he has wall-to-wall all kinds of records, mostly like shit like Bob Dylan and Neil Young and things like that. He's even got like newer stuff like Alabama Shakes, I think. And
dude, that album on vinyl is fucking life-changing.
Yeah.
That Sound and Keller album.
Yeah.
That inspired me all over again.
Yeah.
That's where I fucking started off. My enlightening moment.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So all right. He always had this equipment, which means even like at that age, I was getting the old stuff.
Yeah.
So like I had like gigantic over-ear, like I think they were Sony headphones.
Oh wow! See, I always love they're worth it, really. If you get like an $80 pair of headphones,
dude,
holy
I'm fucking 10.
fuck, yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah,
I had the little yo-yo ones that were cool for a minute, like $10.
But ever since I was a child, I'd loved music.
Yeah, same here.
So like he always like if he bought me something, it was like top level shit usually.
Yeah.
And I love him for it because like now I'm like
that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool.
I appreciated sound as a child.
Right.
Shocked I want to be a producer.
Yeah.
And but I remember that summer, Yourself or Someone Like You came out. It was an album by Matchbox 20. Remember that first album that had I
never really listened to them.
Well, it was the one where like it had like 5 singles on this fucking album.
I remember the one that was at Pizza Hut forever, and it had like the fat dude with like the leather helmet or something on it. That's okay.
That's the one.
Okay.
Dude, that album when he was like young and starving, lyrically was one of the fucking coolest albums.
Really?
And that album was really well produced, well written. I love it to this day.
Yeah.
But that album came out, and I swear to God, if you could wear out a CD, I would have done it.
Yeah.
So my dad got me tickets to go see them, Semisonic, Closing Time.
Yeah.
And Soul Asylum. We're opening for them.
I've heard that. Is that Runaway Train? Yep.
Yeah, that bit.
Yeah, I remember that on the commercial.
Yeah, that's what I call 90s.
Yeah.
And anyways, I remember Matchbox 20 coming on there and rocking the fucking place. For like as much as I can as a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like it was a child-friendly show. Like he said fuck a few times, but
yeah, but it's not, hey, it's a rock
but
concert.
He never leaned on swearing in his music anyway.
Yeah.
He'd say damn and shit every once in a while when it needed it.
Yeah, but it's rock and roll, so
It was no big deal, but that was a good rock and roll band in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing them live and being like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
That. And so so I would watch like more video, like you could buy DVDs of concerts at that time. and like I'd see like Rob Thomas playing guitar and singing, or the other dude in the band singing and playing guitar. And I'm like,
And you learn everyone's names, and you fucking like
Yeah.
know all the words to all the songs.
yeah, like for those first
Yeah.
3 albums, I could probably still recall 90% of it.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it's like with me and the Casualties. I don't really listen to them anymore. Like, every time they release an album, I listen to it once.
Yeah.
Just to be like, all right, let's see what's going on now. You know what I mean? But I don't really listen. Nothing. I listen to a lot of that and just mainly street punk for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always going to appreciate it. There's always like The Virus. I don't think I'll ever really totally get sick of at all, because I'll still like, I'll listen to their shit like once in a while, like a whole album. Like Casualties, I listened to some of their old shit not too long ago. Anyhow, I know what you're talking about. Just being that into a band, you know, and it just kind of possesses your life. That happened when I was like
seeing that first live show at that young.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even my first concert, because you know my first concert was.
What's that?
It's the coolest one. It was Boys to Men.
Oh shit, that's what's up.
Yeah, like Water Runs Dry '92.
Yeah. Damn.
I remember it too.
Yeah. I was born in 92 actually.
I was 6.
Damn. That's still a cool concert. That's a really cool concert. That's
fucking
better.
sweet.
My first concert was, and remember, I'm growing up around like acoustic guitars and campfires and shit like that. You know what I mean? Couple beers out, nothing crazy. But like some really great, like fucking Appalachian by the crick fucking music. You know what I mean? And a lot of it was like cover songs, and even cover songs of popular songs, but all of them would like rewrite some of the shit completely.
Yeah.
Some of them have the songs that they've wrote, and they're all really great. But I was really into metal.
This is pre-internet when no one knew that.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, for me, I always grew up around with it, and I really fell in love with it a couple years ago. I always liked it. I was always into it. Like, one of the first songs my uncle showed me was Ohio by Neil Young. You know, I've always had an appreciation for it, but I really fell in love with it a couple years ago. Anyhow,
I've never had a Neil Young phase. I feel like I need one.
Yeah, but growing up with that, and then I started getting into metal and stuff like that. My first concert, and I was way into both bands, was not anymore, but I was way into both bands, was Metallica and Godsmack opened for him.
Oh, I remember.
It was like the
Godsmack.
white trashiest fucking thing I've ever been to in my life, probably. And I live in East End, so
Oh, dude, you know what? You're bringing back all kinds of Papa Tom memories for me.
yeah,
Here's another cool one. How awesome my fucking dad is.
yeah.
Yeah, this is like a Father's Day podcast.
Fucking yeah, we'll call this one Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. I remember when I was 15, I got my first tickets to my first big concert as like a young, like as a teenager. No, I was going to Ozfest that year.
Yeah.
And I got my tickets like a month and a half ahead of time, and I was so fucking psyched. And then like it was one of those things like where me and like a bunch of people had talked about like getting tickets and going, but I'm the only one that did. And by the time that day rolled around, like everybody had like backed out, and like even the ride.
Yeah.
And no one talked to each other because this is pre-cell phone, 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And so like day of, I can't get a hold of anyone.
Oh, shit.
Like rides fucking dipped out.
Yeah.
And my dad called me like the morning of that show, and he's like, "You ready?" He was excited for me. I was so bummed out, and like I was just, I was devastated.
Yeah. Did you end up going?
Dude, he hung up that phone, and about 25 minutes later, I heard the garage door rolling up at the house, like the automatic garage door. He's like, "Get your shit."
Yeah, that's what's up.
We
man.
hopped in the car. Dude, he went to Ozfest.
That's fucking awesome.
Not
man.
only did he go to Ozfest, because he loves Ozzy.
Right.
Well, he loved Black Sabbath when he was young. And he went there, set me free because he found the Captain Morgan and Camel tent.
Yeah.
And he just went up there and like it's off to the side, and I ran free.
Yeah. That's funny you say that, because Bob, one year. It was like maybe my freshman, maybe my sophomore year in high school. Bob took me and like all my homies out to Mayhem Fest.
That's fantastic.
And fucking sat on the hill, you know, when it was early and all the bands are in the parking lot. He sat on the hill and read a book all day.
That's fantastic.
And then like by the time it got dark, he watched the bands. He was like, yeah, they were talented. Like, you know, he's always a really quiet guy, but he always came in clutch, you know. Yeah, man, my first concert, my mom actually took me to
Really?
Godsmack and Metallica. Yeah, my dad and I never really did much.
Yeah.
You know? Started to for a while, and then like right when, you know, it got weird between me and him for a minute, as it does. You know, we butted horns a couple times. I didn't talk to him for a couple years. I chalk it up to teenage angst personally. My dad can be a dick, but so can I.
Yeah,
you know,
I had that
everyone's
kind of
a flawed.
relationship with my mom.
I think it's when you start to see that your parents are also human beings and they're also flawed.
I didn't
understand
understand
It's
that.
like, what the fuck? Like, you've been telling me what to do all my life, and you're just a fucking another just douchebag out there like the rest of us, you know? Just that image of like my dad, you know, I think that's what happens between boys and their fathers a lot of times. Maybe.
Dude, my kids think I have it together. I have no fucking idea.
That's and when that starts to melt, some shit can get weird, you know what I mean? But that's the thing, you come back a couple years later and it's like, holy shit, now I see actually how hard life is, you know what I mean? And it even got before that. I started talking to him again a little bit after high school. Because, you know, it's like I graduated and like just a lot of shit just went down. Like, just broke up with a girlfriend that I was like head over heels for, fucking all kinds of shit. And then it was just like, you know what? Like, I kind of miss my dad. I actually got really drunk one night and sent him like a book long text. And that was the first I talked to him in 2 years.
Really?
And it's just funny because the first time we hung out a couple times after that, but the first time he and I really talked about it, we were both fucking smashed. And like we still like just every time I see him, dude, it's like it's gonna be beer fest, whiskey fest, and we're just gonna talk and, you know, just about whatever, politics, fucking whatever. And I, you know, it's a good relationship now, you know. And it's not all booze. Like I could go see my dad and be sober the whole time and still have a good time. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
see, me and my mom had that kind of similar relationship. Like, from like I didn't talk to her from like 16 to 18 or 19.
yeah, that's about what it was with my dad.
And then like even like when I was young, we didn't get along. Like how many times have you ever seen a mom give up custody?
Yeah, you don't see that, do you?
Especially someone who's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
We just did not get along since I was as long as I could remember.
Yeah.
But I think it was we were trying to force a relationship.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I
you're
mean?
just two different people.
Very much so. Because like as I grew up and I became an adult and I realized that she has no fucking idea what she's doing any more than I do.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where we realized that our relationship works better if we're friends. Instead of like trying to have a traditional like mother-son relationship. We text each other every other day or call each other every day.
You know what's funny is, you know, believe it or not, I do call my mom almost every day and
Really?
just talk with her for like an hour. Yeah, I'll just call her in the morning sometimes. Sometimes I won't, but sometimes, yeah, I'll just call her and talk to her for like an hour and a half. And you couldn't get two more different people than my mom and I.
I have not.
But I fucking love her to death. Like she's like the shit. You know what I mean? We're very different, but I don't know. She just did nothing ungodly cool shit for me all my life.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able, you know, and she feels bad about not like, you know, when I was younger, like we couldn't really even swing guitar lessons. And I wanted nothing more than guitar lessons because I worked all summer for this guitar, but I just want to know how to play it now. And like I had like a case manager and shit like that in school, and she promised to like line up guitar lessons through the Salvation Army and shit. And I don't know what the fuck happened, but I no longer had a case manager and those guitar lessons never happened. And I don't know, it just sucked. But then I just like, you know what I mean? But when my Aunt Cindy, because my cousin Steven, you know, he passed away really young. And when my Aunt Cindy gave me a half stack, you know, even though it was at my dad's, it's my dad's sister. And he gave me, you know, she gave me one of his old half stacks, which I still have to this day. I will never get rid of that thing. my dad, let me plug it in for a little bit or whatever, and then all right, that's enough. My mom will fucking let me play that shit. She would let me play that shit for 6 hours straight if I wanted to. Cranked.
That was my dad.
Yeah, once it's time for Derek to go to bed, you got to put the guitars away.
Yeah.
That was always the rule. And like the band practice that we had when none of us knew how to play our fucking instruments.
Oh, imagine how fucking terrible.
We, no bullshit, almost every fucking day after school. That's all we did.
Wow.
Literally 6, 7, 8 hours a day. No mic. That's why I got such a loud voice, I think, is because no mic. I was literally just like, I want to know how to scream. And we're at the point now to where it's like, if it's in a small enough room so the amps aren't going to be super loud and the drums not, like, you can hear my voice pretty clear over the instruments.
Wow.
And it'll be pretty loud, but.
You project really well anyway.
Yeah, it's the style of screaming I have. You got to fucking learn. There's a lot of important shit that I never knew. I learned through the years. Like the style of singing I do, I have to stretch before I go on stage, or else it's not going to be very good for me.
Yeah.
I kind of
taste blood.
Yeah, I kind of approach it like not really that. Like I can go on pretty quick, but I like to and it always looks douchey, but I always like to do, like, if I'll just drop down and do a couple push-ups or something, a couple jumping jacks or whatever, get the blood pumping, you know what I mean? Just kind of like fighters. They always say, don't go into, Evander Holyfield always said, don't go into a fight dry. Always work up a sweat in the back and then fight. You got to warm up. You can't warm up in the ring. You got to warm up in the back and then come out ready to fight. Same thing with the type of jumping around and screaming my head off for 20, 30 minutes. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can't just go from, like, sitting here, I do still sometimes, but I know it's better for me to like physically warm up before we go and play. I every time I've done it, I've had a better set.
I warmed up by drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
I was just.
Oh yeah, I've done that too.
Like I hated crowds. Like, that's why I wore the sunglasses. I wasn't trying to be cool.
Yeah.
I can't see you if I had the sunglasses on.
Yeah. You know what I think it is for me? I'm actually, like, really nervous in crowds, too. I'm actually pretty withdrawn at shows unless someone approaches me and talks to me. I'll talk to them for an hour and a half.
See, I loved playing the show.
Yeah.
Fucking hated the lead up.
Yeah. I used to hate the lead up. The only lead up I get nervous about now is if we're, like, going to a big city. And we're like, okay, like now we're like crossing the bridge and there's the skyline. I get really fucking nervous.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous until we get to the club, and I actually like, I think I shake a little. Like, I don't know if it shows or not, but I'm fucking shaking a lot of the times. And like, because I don't think a lot of people really understand how fucking scary it is to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm getting, how I described one time how I get like, I don't sleep much leading up to runs and stuff. Yeah, I'm in that period right now.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm nervous as fuck. So I don't know if I ever announced it, by the way. But April, we got a little bit of a run. We got April 4th, Thursday in Philadelphia. April 5th, Worcester, Mass. And then April 6th, New York. I can't remember which borough right now, but more details soon. I'll come prepared next time.
That's fucking awesome, though.
But yeah, I'm getting real nervous about it. And
good.
Yeah, but it's definitely. If I wasn't getting nervous, then I'd fucking really get nervous.
I like that nervous feeling sometimes.
This is what I live for. This is what lets me know I'm alive. Is getting anxious and nervous like this. You shouldn't fear it and cower and watch Netflix over it. You should fucking face it. See,
that's why when it drives me fucking insane when I see people on Facebook talking about their anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you know what that anxiety is?
It's them knowing that they could be doing more.
Yes. And they're not doing it.
The thing is, about all of us, we could all be doing more.
Absolutely.
I could be doing more for sure. I already do a lot of things relative to most people around here, I think. But I could be doing so much more. Relative to like the rest of the people in the world, I'm doing nothing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting around, I don't know. I think I learned that through psychedelics. To not cower, to face it and just do it. Because like when you're, and when I say psychedelics, I don't mean like, like let's eat a couple shrooms and play acoustic. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, DMT is actually something that I'm very big supporter of.
I'd be interested in it.
I'm a huge supporter of it. We'll talk off mic.
All right.
Anyhow, no, psychedelics, because when I approached them, I was listening to Terrence McKenna, and I was doing a lot of like, I don't even know what started it. Like the occult, I think. Like when I found out, because like I've heard it all my life, the occult. And I'm like, what's the occult? And I learn all these conspiracy theories and stuff, and I don't know. You just get into that world, then you get into others and others and others, and then like somewhere psychedelics and conspiracy theories kind of intersect. And it's like I've always like seen TV shows with like acid and mushrooms and stuff, and like I've heard people say that, oh no, those aren't like really so bad. Like don't do them; they're bad for you. Like adults say this, like don't do them. Like you shouldn't do any drugs, blah blah blah. But like those aren't the bad ones, really.
No,
you always kind of get that. That's always kind of inferred through.
Don't
TV
do anything someone made in a
comedians
shed.
too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't do any fucking. I think I'm done with any kind of powder. I've never really had anything to do with powder, but it's just something that because Mac Miller and all. Anyhow. Yeah. I digest.
Yeah, that's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I never fucked with powder anyway. That's a sketchy one. But
no, there was a period in my
but
life
doing
when I was like 21,
so the way I
no.
approached psychedelics wasn't necessarily like tiptoe into it. It was like, okay, Terrence McKenna says I should do enough to where like bad trips are because people are still trying to hold on to reality.
Yes.
You should do enough to where you don't hold on to reality anymore, so that way it won't be a bad trip. I know that sounds absurd, but trust me. And
buy the ticket, take the ride.
Yeah, that's what I've
that was always
I've done.
That
a
was
few
my
times.
method too. Like,
yeah,
if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it.
And I think that's more so with like mushrooms and DMT and things like that. But with things like salvia and LSD, I don't really have any interest in. I would probably do salvia just because I've never done it. I would if it was someone I trusted.
That was my first time.
It wasn't like
my
the
first excursion.
Really?
Yeah.
How was it?
Really intense.
Yeah.
But
was it like a super potent? Because I know it came in strengths. Was it a super potent one?
Yeah, my friend's dad would buy it off the internet because he couldn't get like what he wanted here.
Yeah.
Like the way salvia used to work for people that don't know this, it would come in like an extract form, and it was just like this little powder. It looked like a bunch of keef.
Yeah, kind of flaky, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like. It was weird. It was leafy.
Okay.
And it was the extract of the salvia plant, and you would smoke it, and you would go. You would go from 0 to tripping balls in about 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about it. It's like, and it can be really intense too.
Yeah. See, the entire thing lasts about 3 minutes. But it feels like you're in there for hours.
Yeah.
And and you go up through these plateaus, like, because you feel yourself, like you see yourself losing grasp of reality.
Mm.
But just as you're like understanding that you're losing it,
it's gone.
Like when you think you have an understanding, you realize that everything is switched and you're on the next plateau.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to fathom that.
Yeah.
And you do that about 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And then you work your way back down through them.
Oh, okay.
So like as you're coming back down, it's all
so it gets really intense really quick, but then like once you feel yourself go back down, it's like,
yeah, like
right,
you start like once you get to the top, and then when you start going back down, you start remembering this, so you have a firm grip on everything coming back down.
Yeah.
Like it's all familiar.
Okay.
But then afterwards, you feel like a train wreck.
Yeah, see, I'm out.
Well, it just feels like you got extremely high and took a real half-ass nap.
Okay, I feel
like
you.
You're groggy.
Yeah.
And you're also...
Does that wear off, or you just kind of like that for the rest
you're
of the day?
cup of coffee away from
Oh, okay, that's not so bad then.
And then you pretty much you're covered in sweat because you're laughing hysterically the entire time.
Oh yeah, that's a little sketchy too. I feel.
Sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a plant. It's gonna happen. You're fine.
Right.
You like.
I mean, who knows? I might give it a shot. But if I rolled up to some trusted people's house and they were just like, "Hey, man, we got some salvia," and like we're all taking turns in babysitting, and it's a safe environment, and I'd let a couple people go first and then make my decision there, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never really had interest in salvia, and the only interest I've had in LSD was to just try it a few times, and I did, and it's great, but I'm done with it. You know,
LSD.
Just because it keeps me. I'd probably do it like it would have to be a real special occasion for someone to like get me to do some LSD. But I just don't like the fact that I don't sleep for 36 hours after I take that shit.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, I can, after the trip, the spine's all crunchy and weird, and my neck's all twisty, and I can't get comfortable, and I can't sleep for, until, literally about 24 hours after I take it, maybe even more.
Oof.
Depending, especially if you do really high doses like I like to do.
Not me, man. I hydrate, carb up, and pass the fuck out.
Yeah, see, I can't. I've never been able to do that. And I've known some people, a few people who can, but most people I talk to are not able to sleep after it.
I mean, it's for me. I don't want to do it anymore. I'll be 33 in next week, and I have zero interest in that.
Yeah, same. I've done it enough times.
Yeah,
I got what I'm not going to get any more from it. It was great. I actually, if you're interested in psychedelics, LSD, first make sure you're getting real LSD.
Yeah,
it's the
not
only
some
thing.
research chemical.
Yeah, because I've gotten research chemical, and that's just not nearly as fun. Real LSD, trusted people, set and setting, all that. And if you're going to be responsible about it and be safe about it, as you should, you're going to have a wonderful time.
Yeah.
Even
how when you and I did it, that was the last times I did LSD were with you. That's how long it's been for me.
Okay,
so
yeah.
We're looking at 6 years.
I've done LSD maybe 2 or 3 times since then. So not much.
Yeah.
Not much.
But
but in that probably about 6 years. Yeah, I've done it maybe 2 or 3 times.
And you gotta, that one time we did it in my house.
Back up in Liverpool.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That was a bonding experience for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because everyone else, they were nervous, so they were tiptoeing their way
Emmert
in.
kind of, when he gets
that was the beginning of Emmert when he was tiptoeing too.
Yeah, Emmert will he'll do some psychedelics and then just fuck around or whatever.
Mm.
But I've never I've never seen him go deep. Yeah, which is funny because
that night me and you ate 4 or 5.
Yeah.
To everyone else is 2.
I remember I had 4, and then Emmert put an extra one in later because he had 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were just name dropping people. By the way, this is a made up story. But anyway, you just got to say that once, right? Is that how yeah, this has been so long ago. Emmert did 2, and I remember you and I were talking you I think did 5 just off the bat.
Yeah,
I did 4 off the bat, and then Emmert popped an extra piece into his mouth for literally 2 seconds and went, I don't think I want, and backed out. And I took it from him and ate that one. I knew it was in his gross ass mouth. I didn't give a shit. I actually went to sleep after that one. Okay. Now that I remember it, but it's probably because I chugged water.
That was the night I discovered the kaleidoscope, and I hate it.
There was 4 feet of snow.
Yeah.
And I had to walk up that steep ass hill back up to my house. And I remember just sweating and breathing, and the walls in my room were breathing too. And I was like, whoa. And then I watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil and passed out. It was a good night.
What, man?
That's a great fucking movie if you've never seen it, by the way.
Oh, I have years ago.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Man, we did it there. We did it in your house.
Yep.
And then I did it another time.
That was actually my first time feeling it. I did one hit once before that, and nothing happened. Except Theo, Emmert, and myself. Theo and Emmert more so are convinced that we got abducted by aliens, but we all 3 at this, and none of us tripped at all that night, but we did all 3 at the same time see, the Men in Black neuralizer. Imagine a big thing of that going across the sky.
Yeah.
All 3 at the same time. We were over in a undisclosed location in West Virginia on the porch in the middle of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And we just all 3 were like, "Did you guys see that?" And we kind of freaked. And they still to this day think that we were just abducted by aliens. They're like, "Wait, look at what time it is." Oh, and I was like, "We don't know what time it was before we saw the flash,"
right?
So.
Oh man, I love unexplained shit like that.
Yeah, me too. And that's the thing. I'm the world's biggest skeptic, though. But there's a couple things that have happened that I just can't explain. That's
I've talked about it on here that I'm pretty much a freaking an atheist that believes in ghosts somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I don't take it that far personally, because I think just most people are kind of full of shit.
Yeah.
Just point blank.
I believe in energy, and I believe...
Oh, that's a whole different thing. I think that's what mushrooms and DMT and things like that teach you, that there is a lot more, though.
Well, it took hallucinogenics to take me from atheist to agnostic.
Yeah.
Because I know there's something out there. Because I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
But like I don't know what it is.
Right.
I mean, I understand. Psilocybin mushrooms changed me.
Yeah, they're different than LSD.
LSD.
That gets a little more introspective if you do enough.
LSD taught me to not be afraid of myself,
Yeah.
whereas mushrooms made me look at myself.
Yeah.
So, like, LSD is a good precursor to mushrooms.
I definitely, like I said, I think it's the perfect training wheels. But
Yeah.
I know a guy who does fucking LSD every other weekend, and it's clean shit, and that's his thing. I couldn't imagine doing that.
No, not that often.
I couldn't imagine.
That's a once-a-year kind of thing.
Yeah, but that's what he does, But he's all about it, and he works, so he's pays his bills. Who cares?
Oh, man, I could not lose myself every weekend.
I couldn't not sleep every other weekend, you know what I mean?
Ugh.
And that's the thing he does. Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, yeah, I won't sleep, pretty much the whole weekend. It's like, fuck, dude. I can't do that.
I couldn't, like, you know what? It would take a long time for me to get used to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. Period. I don't think I'd want to. Now I could do mushrooms every other weekend because you know what happens when you do mushrooms. Depending on how much you do, you either see wavies and get the giggles for 4 to 6 hours, or you talk to God for 4 to 6 hours, and then after that, you drink some water, take a piss, and go right the fuck to sleep, and wake up feeling magnificent. Just everything's great the next day.
See, mushrooms is where, like, I really felt like
psilocybin replaces serotonin, goes in through where your serotonin receptors, that's where they go.
Oh, really?
In through your serotonin receptors. Yeah, I think it can replace serotonin in low doses.
See, I didn't have a good mushrooms experience.
Yeah.
Like, I had a fucking terrible time.
Yeah, if you're not ready for it, it's intense. If you do a lot, you need to be ready for it.
It was my first real time. Like I had like a couple sips of like tea.
Yeah.
When I was younger,
saw some shit, got the giggles.
Everything got wavy.
Right.
And I giggled.
Yeah.
This time I went 0 to. I watched the universe be born.
I had that happen too.
Like where you just.
So the effects of DMT can be, obviously 5-MeO DMT, regular DMT, and the only other thing that can produce ayahuasca as well. But then the only other thing that can produce similar reactions to DMT is psilocybin mushrooms, not LSD, not fucking whatever the fuck is all out there anymore. There is always this one that I did want to try though. I can't remember what it's called. Anyhow, continue. I'm sorry.
Shit, I forget where I was going. Oh, the Jesus moment.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe what I've seen.
It's ineffable. There's no way to describe it.
But like when I came back, I had a general understanding of the meaning of life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I know exactly what you mean because I had the exact same thing happen to me. But that's when
I came back fearless.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Like
a lot of things changed for me that day. I was able to look, like how you run into people from high school, and like I was always kind of like bullied a little bit, especially when I was younger. When I got big, nobody really fucked with me anymore. Well, when I started fighting back, nobody really fucked with me anymore. But
yeah,
I was still fucked with a lot when I got big, actually. But I don't know. I just got this new confidence to life. You know what I mean? It made me more confident in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And it's stuck. Like, it's been years since I've done that. And I still, it's been nothing but a positive experience. I think it's changed my life for the better. You know what's interesting about psilocybin mushrooms I did not know until today? And I might butcher it, but that Paul Stamets guy that was on Joe Rogan forever ago, I finally had enough time to sit and, just listen to the whole thing through. And he was talking about how psilocybin actually carves new neural pathways in your brain.
Oh, really?
And his first ever mushroom experience, he used to have a horrible stutter. And he just talked about how, the more he tried to, the more he was ashamed of his stutter, the worse it would get. And it was just like he had a really, really bad stutter growing up and everything. Columbia and Ohio. I love that. And he gave this guy, one day, and he's still really smart. I mean, he's a legit scientist and
Yeah.
stuff now, and he's always been really smart and everything. And then he goes on to describe later on how he found the psychedelic world. But anyhow, so he gives this guy $25, I think he said it was, and he had this part in the middle of this valley, and there was an oak tree up on top of the hill, and he'd always climb the oak tree and just look at the sunset and stuff. So he went up there. Ate about, he estimates, 20 grams of mushrooms, dried mushrooms, 20 grams of dried mushrooms on top of an oak tree. And then when he started to he ate it, and then when he's climbing up is when he's starting to feel it. He gets to the top, and a lightning storm starts coming. And he's seeing lightning strike in the field as he's tripping balls for the first time ever.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and that's why this guy has dedicated his entire life to mushrooms. And he describes some of the shit he saw, and
wow,
it's really intense.
See,
I couldn't even imagine eating a half ounce is 14 grams. So he had almost an ounce of mushrooms. That's fucking crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah. Cowboy did the same thing. Since that's the thing, he had the DMT and several huge mushroom trips, and he's been on a 2-fight win streak since then.
Oh, dude, he's
been ripping,
murdering.
He's ripping motherfuckers. He ripped Mike Perry's arm off, and he knocked out fucking Alexander. Connor better watch out. His boy's there. He's got the power of mushrooms in him now. Yeah, holy shit.
See, here's the thing. We're going into MMA now.
Yeah.
Cowboy Cerrone, at this point in his life,
this might be his peak. This might
What?
be the best he's ever been.
oh, without a doubt, it's the best I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
But he wants nothing more than for his son to see him hold that 155-pound title.
Yeah.
And everybody in that division should be fucking terrified of that.
Yeah.
Because that man is different.
Yeah, he really is. Dude, he's got fucking the cool white guy power. There's the type white people, and then there's the cool white. He's the cool white guy. I'm not even the cool white guy. I just pretend to be.
See, I did.
He's genuinely the cool white guy.
Did, after that near death experience and all the DMT and all that shit.
Yeah.
I saw him walk out there to that Mike Barry fight. And as soon as he walked down the hallway, I'm like, oh.
It was just different.
I was like,
he had a different energy about him.
This motherfucker's going to beat his ass.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Mike Perry's fucking pretty goddamn thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he fucking didn't bother him, the strength. And then when he shot on Cowboy, he got the takedown and all because Cowboy was just okay.
Guard.
Yeah, exactly. Good one. Let me take this arm right quick.
I like the cold look of death when he was snapping his fucking arm.
Yeah, that's the type of shit. He was always just having fun in there and doing stuff. Dude, that was animalistic the way he was yanking on that arm.
That he's fighting tactical.
Yeah.
Which he never did that before.
Yeah.
He's always been great at a lot of things.
But
he's a reckless motherfucker, and he'd get tagged and put down.
I think it's Joe Schilling who microdoses mushrooms.
Oh, really?
And he said ever since he started doing that, it's given him a lot of improvements in a lot of other ways. But one of them is he claims that he feels that he's almost telepathic. Because when he spars, he knows what people are going to do before they do it. And
Cowboy,
or at least it
or
feels
Schilling?
like that. Joe Schilling.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least he says it feels like that, I think. I believe it was Joe Schilling anyhow.
Oh, it definitely fucking opens up an eye.
Yeah, and I think, even doing large doses sporadically like Cowboy does the same fucking thing.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is that combined with he's now a father, that's a very powerful thing in its own. That combined with the amount of, literally eye-opening of a severe mushroom trip. He talked about how he ate enough mushrooms until he was full, and then he ate some more. Or no, ate a bunch of mushrooms, just kept eating them until he thought he had enough, and then started eating more. He ate, I couldn't imagine how much he's eaten, yeah. And then he went and got his hair cut.
Is that why he came out that pretty haircut that one time?
No, I don't know about that. But anyhow, no, mushrooms are an incredibly powerful thing. I think psychedelics in general, I don't do drugs, everybody. Drugs are bad, but
except for the ones that grow from the ground, they're probably okay.
Yeah, probably.
But no, I agree. I think there are a lot of things in recent years and currently going on that I don't know that I could emotionally handle if I didn't have that experience.
Yeah, very true.
Like if I didn't have the some sort of context for the universe, I don't know that I could handle just life.
I don't know if I could either, honestly.
You know what I mean?
I really don't know if I
even
could.
like from how
I'm sure I could. I'm sure I'd survive. But
I
I don't
would
know if I'd be able to
survive.
handle it, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna settle for.
Just
I would
settle for
I would
whatever,
just settle.
Yeah. You'd
I
probably
wouldn't-
still be chubby. You wouldn't be doing a podcast.
Oh,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
This podcast would not be happening.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't have started eating better.
I'd
be welding.
I'd probably be still like maybe playing like cover band gigs at like Saddle Ridge and shit like that. You know, not that there's anything wrong with actually you're actually making more money than I am if you do that. So congratulations. But I think I'm getting a lot more value
Bon Jovi.
out of doing. Yeah, I think I'm getting a lot more value out of doing what I'm doing. And it's always weird. Most guys, like every guy that's like 40 or above, always wants to know how much I'm making and shit like that. Like, and I don't like to talk. I just tell them I don't like to talk about that. You know, and because it's like if I just say nothing. Like they're gonna, and I have said that before when I was making like literally nothing. I was spending money to play shows. They're just like they cannot understand why I do it.
You
then
fucking cunts.
yeah, really.
You can fuck yourself.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but mostly gas. Just gas, and like if I'm lucky, they'll toss me a 20. But I just drove 2.5 hours. But whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Every time it's a dude that's like 40 or above that like. If I was to tell him we don't make any money, we actually like lose a lot of money in gas and stuff, they just cannot wrap their heads around why someone would do it then. Like, why would you do that if you tell them you need pay, especially like dads do this. My dad did that. Son, I think it's about time you start getting paid for this. He says that about once every other year. And I'm like, well, Dad, and I know, and it's funny because he's, recently he's been trying to get me to go to this spot up in Youngstown that opened up. And I actually really do want to play it. But he's like wanting it to happen like next week so he can like meet all the new members and buy us drinks and hang out and see because he hasn't seen our band in a while.
Oh, he's in it for a pleasant fucking surprise.
Yeah, I think so. And but and that's really cool that he wants to do that, and I'm looking forward to that happening. It will happen, but he wants it to happen sooner than it makes sense to. And he's like, "Look, man, I can talk to that owner and see if I get you in." And I try to tell him every time. I'm like, "Dad, don't worry. I can get in there. It's just not the right time." And he's like, "Well, if you have any trouble, let me know. I talked to the owner." And I could just imagine my dad's there once in a while, just like talking, like, my boy's in a band, right?
He's probably fucking sick and goddamn tired of hearing about you.
And that's why it's like, oh God, like don't do that. You know what I mean? But we'll go up there, we'll play, and I'll just be like, "Dad's right." Yeah.
Sorry about him.
Yeah. But
he means well.
But and that's the thing. That's just dad stuff. But dads, it's kind of a band stereotype that they're the first ones to be like, "So how much are you getting paid for this gig?" You know what I mean? It's like, you can't really. And so I put it to him like this last time. He was just like, "Son, I think it's time you need to start getting paid." And I'm like, "No, I totally agree, and I'm making moves to do that." But how am I going to, how would I get paid if I played somewhere I've never been before? And he's like, "Well, you need a guarantee for gas and blah, blah, blah." I was like, if I can't guarantee them a crowd, how can they guarantee me any money? I said, most places do the right thing. If people come out, you make enough noise, you'll get broke off with a decent chunk. You know what I mean? A little more than gas money. You might be able to get a little shower tonight too, like stay at a hotel, especially if you're on the road. Most people tend to do the right thing there. But, we can't ask for an upfront guarantee of shit if we can't guarantee anyone will show up. And that's happened before. Yeah. I've played shows where like 3-4 people were there and they were just going to be there anyway. They didn't even know a fucking show was happening, That hasn't happened on the road so much because a lot more promotion goes into it when you're going that far out. But I have had shows like go horribly wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So how are they going to guarantee me like, at least $400, $100 per guy? How am I going to guarantee that when like I go and play and then nobody shows up? Like, they're not going to pay me. Like, they'll just make me never play there again. It's hard. It's saturated. And I think that's kind of on the fans' fault. Some cities are really good with it, but a lot of cities suffer.
Yeah.
Because people were like, "Oh, I'm bored. There's nothing to do." All these people who claim to love music and they got like, their favorite band's logo tattooed. Yeah, and then it's like, cover bands are one thing, but like actual bands, like, and I mean, I made something happen pretty cool there in Liverpool for a minute, right? Like that last Devil's Night we had when like 200 people showed up or whatever, something crazy. I never in my wildest dreams thought that was going to be the case. I was actually nervous nobody was going to show up, and I went on a blunt ride with this dude who worked security there. I knew him in school and shit. We were there. I showed up, and it was one of the bands that were on the bill showed up before we did even, and like we're kind of shitty with it about it. Like, yeah, man, it's your own show. I was like, dude, fuck it. Like, nobody told you to come this early. It's punk rock time. You know what I mean? The sound guy was there, and he's like, "What's up? I'm ready." So, like, I went in, I handled business, and then, like, the owner's like, "So how are we doing this?" And I just kind of, like, off the top of my head, like, okay, we'll do this for the door, we'll do this, that, I just kind of, like, pointed at shit. And then dude who was working security just, "Hey, man, blah, blah, blah." And, like, we just went on a quick blunt ride. I came back, and you know that whole plaza parking lot in East End where it was? 2/3 of it were packed.
Oh,
and
shit.
People were like driving around looking for parking spots. I was gone for 20 minutes.
Oh, shit.
That shit ended up being full. People were parking like on the other side of the parking lot where there's not really a lot of parking. And there was people like parked in Sparkle. Like people came in from Pittsburgh. Like
Jesus.
I had no fucking clue that was going to happen. But I guess that's what happens when you invite 9 bands from all over. They tell people about it and it becomes a big thing. And a lot of people were there, and a lot of people were bringing friends, and it became a fucking thing. And I was able to pay out, I didn't pay out anybody local. I paid out the guys that came from Pittsburgh. I paid out the guys that guys that came from Beaver. I think Beaver Falls maybe. And then I paid out the guys. I paid out Motion Sickness because a lot of the crowd was into them, and like they had. I thought they had the best set.
They had a good following there for a minute.
Yeah, they actually, like, a lot of people showed up to see them, so I actually kind of gave them the biggest cut to just, I think it's because I was a little bit jealous about how much better they were doing than me, and I was, like, doing all this work, and I felt bad about that, but that was also, like, right around the time Emmert joined the band, and, like, that friendship started.
Yeah.
So I was less self-conscious because even Emmert was like, I'm having more fun with you guys, if I'm honest, you know? So.
Well, personality doesn't sometimes don't match, but that band was like musically very talented.
Yeah, they were incredible, but that's the thing, there was, 2 rich kids whose dad got them like each $5,000 drum sets and fucking like all the, and God bless them for it.
Yeah, that's not their fucking fault.
It's, if you look at where they started,
he didn't buy their fucking talent.
Yeah, if you look at where they started, well, they at least got to have lessons. I would have killed for lessons, man. I had a fucking $50 guitar that like the action's about 1.5 inches high and like just trying to make that sound good. Dude, I had fucking, and like, I'm not salty about it anymore because look at how far I am now, and I have no reason to like that. I have no reason to get my ego involved in this anymore. No. I just do it because I love it. But at the time, it was just like I started from so far behind most people. You know what I mean? And I clawed my way. But at the same time, though, as I was kind of jealous, of them, I was just fucking proud that someone from East Liverpool was kicking ass.
Right.
Even though I fucking actually kind of hated that style of music, even though they had like really sick metal riffs, which I later found out was Alex's doing. Yeah. They had some really dark riffs that were cool. But I didn't care for that type of music at all. But it was just like, man, like, and I truly thought they were going to like, dude, those guys are like, they're going to go play like Warped Tour and shit like that. Like, they're going to get big. And just one day it fell apart.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That sucks. That really sucks. So, and I genuinely was proud of them for like kicking ass.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That band, you can't buy the hours that those kids.
No, they still work their fucking asses off, and there's no denying that. I didn't mean to take it away from them.
I don't think he did. But like you didn't take anything away from
I was just trying to explain how I felt at the time, and I don't feel that anymore because
that's a jealous. Like I was jealous of it too.
Yeah.
And
how could you not be? It sucks.
Yeah. They were given
until
an
I was able to
advantage
take
and they
my
fucking
ego
ran.
Yeah, exactly. And as you should, and you should not feel bad for that advantage.
No, I would have done the same fucking
just
thing.
Don't act like you're better than everybody else for your advantage.
No.
You know what I mean? And not that, I kind of got that vibe from a couple of those dudes, but like I never got that really from Emmert.
No.
I never got that. I never really got that from I'm not going to name people because then you could just, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
Anyhow. But yeah, and it was really cool that there was a music scene for half a second in East Liverpool,
Yeah.
even though it was all East Liverpool bands. But that's, I think that was my goal to one day just start bringing bands through East Liverpool. I could realistically, there's just nowhere to play. I would fucking. There's a guy that moved to Sandusky and opened a club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's from East Liverpool, and it's like, bro, if you did that here, I would most likely be able to make some shit happen. But now I'm moving because there was never anything here.
Nah, dude, this area's dead.
Yeah. So
Especially for that kind of shit.
yeah, I mean, what would East Liverpool need more than like a good fucking punk scene though? Like a Midwestern punk scene, which is actually kind of where the punk scene's going to now. It's migrating out of the cities and into the suburbs again. Because they're not even the suburbs, but the Midwest, especially the nowhere towns.
Yeah.
Because now we're it used to be if you were a city kid, you grew up rough. Now if you're a city kid, someone's got money. Someone's helping you with some bills, like, or you're living with 100 people, which is cool too. But like if you're in the city, like the city, it still can be dangerous. A lot of cities, especially like Chicago and shit. But like, and there's still like poor and, broke down people in the city. But like, what about like, oh man, you saw someone on the fucking BART train, like overdosing and shit, and you had to step over him, and you're on the way to the punk show, and that was some pretty dark shit. Bro, tell me what happens like when you fucking, like, half the people you know are dead now.
Yeah.
And you've seen it, and you saw them deteriorate. And because that's what's happening in the Midwest. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I think I'm a lot angrier than a lot of bands out there, and we sound it because I think we're going through a lot more shit. Generally, I don't like to compare lives. Everyone who makes good music is going through a lot of shit. Is going through a lot of shit.
Mentally healthy people don't need to create this.
Yeah.
Much.
What did Kevin Smith say? Word for word. Happy people don't make good art.
Exactly.
But I'm very angry about it too, and I think that's how I get it out. And I just kind of really a big thing I would like to do is like if we got real big, I'd love to. Have some sort of a program or a charity for people with like addiction problems.
Yeah.
That's just such a deep subject for me. That's something that I spend a lot of my time thinking about is addiction and like ways to fucking help, instead of berate and belittle, but help.
Like I've thought about donating shit like if I could ever generate a certain amount of money for like any amount of money really, I do this for the love of the game, man.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I have almost everything I need, or I can go earn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't really have. I have no extra money to donate any significant amount to anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I tried to do that with a show once. I don't really want to get in. Well, I could. But
you don't got to worry about
yeah,
that.
it's another 20 minutes of babbling.
But if I ran a business or I put out an album that I own, and I could choose to donate proceeds,
yeah,
I would absolutely fucking do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Whatever happened to Tickle Fight?
Oh shit.
Yeah, we still need to do Tickle
We'll
Fight,
do a
man.
Tickle Fight. I'll fucking write the shit out of that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I'm about that life.
Just do like heavy hardcore vocals. Like I'll do vocals on it, but I'll just use like a weird nickname that nobody calls anybody, and I'll fucking like not sing anything like I sing. I'll just do like the real deep, heavy hardcore voice, just like the most thrashy, fucking breakdowny, nasty, ignorant, crowd killing as shit.
So that was another idea. Dom brought it to me, but like I love the idea and I've thought similar things. But like doing like once we get going, what we want to do, like start doing like things like the old school where like rappers would do, like where they had mixtapes or guys from like labels would hop on each other's fucking songs and like they would put out like a big compilation.
Yeah.
Like once I get enough like bands, musicians involved with it, like why not start doing like a song together?
Yeah.
Or like an EP, anything. Like you've always like there's people that have always been friends like in different bands and never done a project together.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not write 3 or 4 fucking songs, record them, and put out a fucking project?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down to make some music.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like you and I have talked about it 1,000 times with 1,000 different projects.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much ready whenever. I just we're Right now might be a little difficult because I am really focused on writing stuff for Nervous Aggression. We're finalizing. Actually, Emmert went down to Newark for the weekend.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and he and Steve worked on a lot of the new stuff, and we got one of our new songs almost completely down. And I imagine they worked on a lot of other stuff as well. And then Sunday they practiced more, and they had a guy try out for bass.
Nice.
So, and apparently he did really good. So that's exciting.
Good for him.
Yeah, he lives down in Columbus as well. So that's perfect.
Fucking dandy.
Yeah, yeah, it
That's
really
smart,
is.
actually, finding a guy there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we always decided on. You know, we always knew we were going to get down there. We just didn't know how soon and realistically. But now I'm comfortable enough. I'm kind of in the swing of things enough, I think, to get down there by summer. And like I said, I have some money put aside and everything like that. I think it's time to get down there and get this shit moving. You know what I mean? And you know, like I mentioned before, I won't get into too much detail. I have a lot of things in mind along with all this.
Well, fuck, man.
It's just all got to go together, though.
Hey, we did it over an hour.
All right.
Let's leave it there on an inspirational note.
Fuck
man.
yeah.
Like, I think the moral of the story today is just if you've ever fucking wanted to do something, don't let you stop you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, we'll leave you.
April 21st at the Rock Room in Pittsburgh. That's after the run. That's completely booked. It's going to be like a brutal deathcore, like not brutal deathcore. It's going to be like a gore grind type show.
April 21st.
I think it's a Easter Sunday.
You really?
I'm pretty sure.
Why are you playing a show on a Sunday? Jesus Christ.
I don't know, man. Let's do it. I'm gonna call off work the next day. It's about to be a party.
Oh, that's gross.
And we're playing with like blast beats and type bands. And so it's gonna be us and 3 other bands. I used to love that shit when I was a kid, so I don't even care. I can't pronounce any of the other fucking bands' names, but we're gonna go tear it the fuck up. It's gonna be a good fucking time. I'm excited. I'm gonna get drunk and fucking, fucking be a neckbeard teenager once again.
Oh my God. All right, we'll leave it there. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Boy.
Bye.